going to stop putting stuff in there.
I didn't find any condoms.
We'll put some in.
Okay.
We'll get you some condoms and we did notice that there was lube. I mean, Vaseline. Just another Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 4 days to go until Liverpool get crowned as Premier champions.
Right?
Well, it happens this weekend. It should happen this weekend against Spurs. I have seen that Ange is going to wheel out his under 12 team so that we can. He's been playing kids all year.
What are you going to do? Like run around naked in pockets? How are you going to celebrate?
The last time I celebrated, my wife, we had 2 bottles of champagne. It was during lockdown, and booze was on the.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, right, I want to do this for Instagram. Okay, great. And I sprayed 1 bottle of champagne. She missed it. Then I had to open another one. Then the next day was pin day in the party, and there's me, and I'll show you the video. I'll put it up on the feed later. There's me standing along, taking the pins out with a bottle of champagne in the hand, going, "Campeón." And as I go outside, I said, "Liverpool." And there's a lady walking past, said, "You'll never walk alone." Such a big thing. Yeah, I don't know where I watch it. Maybe watch it at home but it's
friends. Okay.
It's too soon.
Okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's only Wednesday, and what are we doing today? We're doing so much. I mean, a little what's happening in the world of sport. We're also talking to Jasmine Matlachane. He is a player agent, and I've been trying to get him in the seat for forever. But we're basically just talking about, I guess, the contract between a player, a club, the T's and C's. How do either uphold this now? And if one doesn't, what happens? What's the recourse for that? And I have to appreciate actually what he does with his players. He doesn't, I want to almost call him like a boutique agency because he doesn't take on very many players, right? And then when he does and he represents you, he works backwards. So it's not about your playing career now.
It's the almost reverse engineering from being a businessman or
Correct.
reverse engineering from being a retired.
Correct. So Happy Jele comes from his stable. A Siwa Shabalala comes from there. And it's not just, it's how are you building a life post-football? And he doesn't really worry too much about, I mean, let's go play. And then, do you have a house when you retire? Do you have enough money when you retire? Are you thinking about a business when you retire? And he's a businessman himself. So he's that way wired. That it isn't just about, okay, let's get you from club to club. It's about life. And how are you going to build that life for yourself? And it's something I really appreciate.
Do you really need a BMW? Do you really need a Mercedes?
You sound just like jazz.
And I hope it was you to tell us about how, someone like Zambia hasn't been paid his 12 million rand yet. I mean, how does he get the money? Because the recourse in a team that's basically gone bankrupt.
Correct. So he knows all those nitty-gritties. But like I said, a businessman and a boutique agency.
I like it. Don't take on too many people. Don't just look for you. Don't be Mr. 10% all the time.
Correct. So he just says, no, it's about this representation, and it's not a sausage factory. It really is something a little bit more personal.
I want sausages. And don't forget, you can watch us on the audio. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Which one is that? That's on TikTok. We're on TikTok right now, live. And direct. And sadly in real skin tone, and which is pasty for me.
Yeah, my thighs only go down by midday, but it's okay. Forgive me.
Well, he's still wearing his bag. Oh, he's not wearing his now. So. Simone Biles doesn't know much can take part in 2028 in Okay, she'll be 31.
She'll be 31. That means she'll be the oldest gymnast to compete. Actually, if she does, and she was just saying that she just wants to be a normal human. And I get that. I absolutely get it. She said she wants to now go and watch her husband in the NFL. She wants to be a woman, she put it, And she says already she's feeling like the niggles here and there from all the hours of practice, being bar, floor, vault. And she doesn't know. She says there's going to have to be like a major shift. Something miraculous needs to happen for her to come back in 2028. But she doesn't know that.
People don't realize it's hard. It's not just 1 year of making it behind. It's 4 years. And she said 20 in Paris. In the competition, she took the elevator to the village and her body collapsed. She got sick for 10 days. That stress. And remember that she got the twisties. The twisties, that was it, yeah. She got the twisties, which are like the hips and golf. Before,
because your brain knows what you're doing, but your body is not responding to that. And it's a lot. I mean, gymnastics is not an easy peasy sport. It is demanding. And so for you to train hours upon end with all those flick flacks, it cannot be easy.
I can't, and it's taken her it's trained her mental health. And I'm glad that she was one of the very few to speak up. She spoke up against the sexual and physical abuse that they were being subjected to by a US gymnastics doctor. And good for her. I'm a great fan of hers. I think she's one of the great athletes of our generation.
Definitely.
Even with this gymnastics, she's on Nadia
community. Correct. What was I going to say now? I forgot.
Anyway, but she's won. She's won Olympic Games, 2-time gold medalist individual all-round 2016, 2024, 2-time champion in vault 2016, 2024, and also silver medalist in the floor, and 2-time bronze medalist on the balance beam. And that has been freaking me out. Sorry, that's not
that thing. I just hold my breath. Like when my daughter's on there, I just stop breathing. I just stop breathing until the routine is done, and then I'm like, okay, I can breathe again.
So, I'm not going to be breathing until after tonight's game. So, McCallum is going to be playing people. He's going to be playing his entire team against Crystal Palace. He's not, this is this weekend rather. He's not going to be resting people. He's not going to be, resting like at PSG. He said the only prize he might be able to get from it is delaying Liverpool's title.
Yeah.
So if they lose tonight, then Liverpool basically they win the title. So maybe we'll run around naked and Parkins tonight. Not in the rain. It's wet. What the hell is it raining for?
At least be in the
yeah. So he's going to be playing his entire team. Jack Draper, I can't figure this guy out. English player, and he says that Sinner. So neither Sinner nor Draper will be here. Apparently, he says it's important for him to stand up for Sinner. The Sinner's 3-month ban is coming to an end soon. He'll be back for the Italian Open. Do we welcome with open arms, or do we?
Well, Daniel Cabrera was welcomed with open arms after serving time, actually. And then at Augusta, just like, oh, my buddy, my pal, you're so wonderful, so good to have you back. Never mind everything that he's done behind closed doors and served jail time. I don't know why the one feels that he needs to validate the other one.
I mean, Cabrera said he made mistakes. He didn't. He did wrong. Sinner did wrong as well. So maybe it's a slightly different thing. He says he can excuse. He had steroid basically rubbed into his backside by his but basically they rubbed it into I thought,
But they also should the masseuse also not know.
Yeah, the masseuse didn't know. I think that's why he fired his trainer as well. But yeah, welcome back with open arms.
Because what is Jack Draper saying exactly? We all know about the 3-month doping ban for Sinner. Like you said, he's almost at the end of that. Serena Williams comes out and also speaks about it and says, if the roles were reversed and it was me, she uses a 20-year ban. Okay.
That's an exaggeration.
Yeah, we get that. Now, what is Jack Draper saying exactly?
Yeah, exactly. He's a genuine, nice person. We all thought Lance Armstrong was a genuine, nice person. Yeah, Ulrich was a nice person.
Are we questioning the caliber of person that he is, or are we just questioning the fact that he used a substance that shouldn't be allowed in tennis and that he should know better? Does it take away from him being a nice person? I'm trying to understand what Jack Draper is doing.
I think that's what he's trying to say. Is that, listen, let's say he did take it. He doesn't think he took it on purpose, but that doesn't mean he's any less of a good guy. But that's it.
You're an athlete, number one.
People think Guerrero's a good guy.
Number one. to know what's on your body. Even if you stop to ask if it is that you need to be safe, what it actually has like a little search panel, and if it is that you don't know, you just type Glen neutral.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's like just to get
tell you, this is what it is, ban, don't use, Okay.
Justin Gatlin was done twice. And he blamed his missus both times, basically having steroids rubbed in, and they're right to go to your backside because that's where most of the lactic acid comes in that used to release it. And you think, well, hang on, like, did you not bother to see what was in the ointment?
Or are you being paid to do it? Like, is there a flip side to it where if it is that the masseurs who are working with athletes know what the banned substances are, use it in any case? Why? Because underhandedly they're getting a little something from Jack Draper over here, and Jack Draper says, please, I need to wanna sinner. So does it go deeper? Does it?
Well, it did go deeper, but straight into his butt.
Anyway, I'm just raising questions. There he is, saying he's a nice guy. You've got to know what is on the hit list if it is that you're an athlete of that Canada. Draper coming out to say he's a nice guy. We're not questioning that. We're questioning what it is you're putting into your body. And at the end of the day, if it is the masseuse, is the person on the court sinner
Yeah, exactly.
for his sinful moment.
He is. This is a sinner. In rugby, the two things you don't do, and both of them are take a dive. Remember Nick White took a dive against Faf de Klerk when he had his face brushed by a hand, and he took a dive and Faf de Klerk got a yellow card. So this guy, Nolan de Gare, Nolan de Gare.
I love your friend. I love it. I love it when you speak foreign.
I can say tiramisu. So he basically best off and worst off. He had this great no-look backwards pass against Wales and Six Nations last year. But on Saturday, he's playing for Racing 92. They were beaten by Perpignan. He received this like little light bump, and you have to see the video. We'll put it up later. He was basically touched, and he did a whole Neymar, Vinicius Jr.
Yeah.
Head went backwards, and he dived. And everyone's going, you little prick. I mean, that's just cheating at its worst. And in rugby, you don't dive. You don't pretend you're injured.
Yeah.
If you're either injured, you're properly injured, or you're dead. That's how injured you get in rugby, which is probably a bad thing to say.
Talking about dead, there's actually a player who passed away yesterday, a soccer player at the age of 22. It was Durban City that were playing last night.
No.
And he actually collapsed on the pitch. And medics were there, but sadly he passed on.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it just gives me goosebumps.
And they're leading the
They
second
are
division.
indeed. They are indeed. So they're in line in the NFD for that automatic promotion at the moment. And I was just like, it just brings back so many memories, man, of footballers.
The Cameroonian who died. So this is
Correct. So it just also sends me down a bit of a spiral at the moment where at a time where we're looking at promotion, relegation, the playoffs, it's really getting heated in the local league. All of them. I mean, if you look at ABC Motsepe, if you look at the DDC, if you look at the NFD, if you look at Betway Prem, okay, there's also the Royal AM Mayhem, but the Zondi family.
No, Rosa, this is Amandla Zondi died.
Yes.
Just collapsed against Milford FC at Chatsworth, rushed to hospital. They don't have any details as such yet. I'm sure it'll come through, but it must have been a heart attack or something.
At the age
like
of
that.
22, and you're as fit as a fiddle, and you're on this pitch, and it is that you do what you love every day, and you're playing football.
Heart disease. It's an unexpected thing. You can't.
You can't
judge
predict.
it.
Yeah, you can't. But I'm just like 22. So condolences. I mean, I'm sure both clubs at the moment are not okay.
No, of course. Imagine.
And neither is a family, because you're not expecting this. You're expecting a game to go ahead. You're not expecting a player just to collapse in the midst of it.
Yeah, it's. You remember Mark Vivian Foy? He was the Cameroonian who died on a field playing for Cameroon. Basically, just a heart attack. You think about Chris Eriksson, who plays for United now, playing for Denmark, and the players had to go around him. Also, a heart attack, and that's why he couldn't play in Italy anymore, because he had a pacemaker put in, and
and then off they go again.
Did you just say wank it back in?
sorry. Choice of words.
Whack it back in. Whack it back in.
Sorry.
Wanking it back in could be a lot more fun to watch. That'd be great. There he is, just wanking his hand
Thank
back
you.
in.
Can we move along, Kevin? My cheeks are going red now.
Coming up after the break. Who was speaking to after the break?
Jasmine Matlachania, a player agent from Professionals, and we're just talking about contracts of players and how it is that players uphold these and clubs need to uphold these too. Was my choice of words okay?
Let's back after the wank. Break.
This is Omnisport Africa. We are putting African sport first. Live and on demand on your phone. Data free on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply. And online at omniaudio.africa. Because reading about it tomorrow won't help you today. When we created Omnisport, we wanted you to hear from Africa's greatest sports journalists. In South Africa, there was only one choice.
No big deal.
Omnisport proudly presents Inside SA Soccer with Brad Jakes.
Whatever that Chiefs can do, it would seem Mamelodi Sundowns can do better.
With over 3 decades as one of South Africa's most talented, decorated, and astute soccer journalists, Brad Jakes is the man the players, coaches, team owners, and officials listen to.
This is a brave man.
Inside SA Soccer with Brad Jakes, exclusive to Omnisport, where Africa comes to play.
Now that's a garage match.
Listen live now and on demand at omniaudio.africa.
Right. Shortly we'll be speaking to Jasmine, who is hopefully not having a wank.
No, Kev, you cannot say that.
But coming up next, and we just spoke about Brad Jakes on his show Inside SA Soccer. He's going to be speaking about Sundowns and the Pirates' success in the CAF Champions League. He's talking about the PSL season has to finish on May 24th, but 2 clubs are lagging behind in terms of fixtures finished. So they still
Pirates and who?
Pirates and Sundowns. They need to catch up with those fixtures.
Yes.
Yeah. So PSL is to blame for all of this.
And who else? I mean, who else is to blame?
I think there's also teams at the bottom. Royal AM have obviously thrown a lot of guys into...
No, I don't blame Royal AM. I do, however, think the buck stops at the Premier Soccer League.
Yeah. Jake's also going to be speaking about the Durban City player who sadly passed away.
Oh, man.
And there's about 6 clubs running for the playoff spots, with Black Leopards looking likely to finish strong. And then Jermaine Agesa, who people still send me messages. He's speaking here on the Premier Football Show. He's talking about the CAF African Schools Championship draws dates. That's very important, actually. The schools championship things are... We don't realize African football being played at schoolboy level.
Yeah.
We don't watch a lot of it.
School sports.
Okay, and apparently another African may be buying an English club. A Moroccan billionaire is looking at buying Sheffield Wednesday, who are done in the, I think the second, I think, I don't know if the championship, I think they're the first league, just 2 down. And who's going to take over at Madrid? Is it going to be Carlo Ancelotti or Xabi Alonso? So that's going to be with Jermaine Agesa on the Premier Football Show. But at the moment, on the line, we have...
Is Jazz. Jazz, please forgive Kevin. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very well. Thanks, Romy. How are you?
Very good,
Hello,
thanks.
Kevin.
Hello, how's it?
Jazz,
That's good.
I've been wanting to get you in the hot seat for forever. Your journey as a player agent, where did that start?
Let me start first by saying thank you very much for the opportunity. And I mean, I don't know if this is a hot seat or it's a warm seat.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's a warm seat.
one.
It's okay. Yeah, as long as you're there, I think it's warm. I think, firstly, I signed professional contract when I was about 20-ish. And around 27, I broke my knee. So that's when my career ended. So, and I think I took interest in really looking after players, because at the time there was that whole exodus of big players leaving the country, like Mark Fish, Lucas Radebe, I think Dr. Kumar was going to Columbus, and so forth. And there was only one agent, I think at the time, the guy called Marcelo Hausman. I think he was the only one that I could remember being a player's agent across South Africa, basically. Every player was taken by him overseas. And I think I took an interest in that because I had an opportunity to meet him. He was looking to to take one of my colleagues at Val Professionals. So that's how I met him, because he wanted this player from, I think it was from Uganda. And I asked him questions about, how does this thing work? And then he explained to me the whole gist of being a football agent and how it works and what I must look out for. And that's how my journey started, basically, after my time.
It's amazing because I call you a boutique agency, merely because it's not about the numbers that you keep. It's not, okay, the floodgates are open, I've got 500 players on my books, and here we go. It's about making money, signing on fees, export, import, if I could use those words. It really is about the holistic approach that you take for a player, and you work backwards. So it's about, what are you doing now for the future you that cannot play football anymore?
I'm glad you said that, and thanks for your kind words on the model that I've used. So of all the players that I would have managed from the time that I started, I mean, some of them are now retired and they're into other spaces, is that I took a very conscious decision to say, if I get involved in the space, surely there has to be some kind of a change in the lives of these players, because I've already seen and I've followed through the history of players who retired even before me and who retired even before me. I mean, you can go back to history and check those players. Some of them, either they passed on, as paupers. Some of them are still struggling as it is. And the simple thing around this thing is that players retire at the age of, give and take, 35, 36. And now with people living longer because they live healthy, they go to the gym. So you've got another 35 years to live without a salary if you don't have anything to fall back on. So I then said, okay, so part of what my agency will do is to do the approach of holistically looking at the player's financial situation. The family background also plays a very big part, which if I break it down, it's very simple. You've got aunties, you've got uncles, you've got nephews, because the minute you hit it big, everybody else now start literally leeching on you. Because everybody, the uncle or the aunt's son now sees you as this uncle that has got money because you're on TV, which means now everybody starts just eating from that little pot. And the problem with footballers is, because of the stature and the type of space they're in, they can't say no. They want to be playing to be able to afford, whereas they don't. They don't afford, because I know how much they earn, I know how much they make, and therefore you try to cut those kind of elements so the player can focus on his football. And people will say, but yes, your players are so disciplined at this and that. That's the conversation I have with my players in the boardroom, to say this is what must happen and this will not happen. And I make it very clear to the family that this is not going to happen. And I think that's where the relationship becomes so good, because they know that my best interest of managing their son or their nephew or whatever is to make sure that he's okay beyond football.
Jazz, let's go to the black and white, because obviously you manage Themba Zwane, for example. We saw him back on the pitch this weekend. Great player. I mean, there has been word around, is he signing, is he not signing? Let's go to that black and white, Actually, you can answer, has he signed, and how long has he signed for with Sundowns?
Okay, so he signed, but I mean, also it's something that it was natural progression on that, because we had 3-year contract plus 1+1, so that's how they structure the contract. So last year they exercised the first option, so we were left with one option. Now, during the time that you've been harassing me, Romy, about that's when I was saying to you, no, it's happening. The only thing is, remember, Themba then got injured at the national team.
Yes.
And I knew it at that point that we are on the touch and go here, because Themba is 35 and he gets Achilles injury and so forth. And normally it's a very sensitive injury for a player at that age to come back. So I think it was a question of them seeing if he will be able to come back, because I knew for a fact that with the national coach wanting Themba so bad back in the national team, that automatically told me that they need him as well for Champions League or the Club World Cup. And I've just been pushing the team to say, listen, I need an answer on an option, on this option, that are you guys taking it or not taking it? And at that time, I'm starting to get clubs calling me, other big clubs calling me to say, what's the situation with Themba? And me being me, and I'll say to Sundowns, listen, Themba is a big player. You need to make a decision quick, because you don't want to create this so-called rumors about Temba going to Chiefs, going to whatever. You're creating nonsense for yourselves. And secondly, also the players start doubting whether or not he's appreciated by the club. And I think as soon as they gave me the word, already a while back, that Jazz, we have registered Temba in the Club World Cup, that told me automatically that it's going to be, the option will be taken. And that I started just relaxing. Why? Because the Club World Cup happens long after the contract is ended.
Yeah.
So right now, as we speak, we've got an option that has been taken. As far as the current contract running is concerned, we don't have any contract except for the current the running option that the club has just taken, which means when this contract ends, or this one that they've just exercised ends, we don't have a contract with Sundowns, which means Temba will have to work triple harder to make sure that he gets a new contract.
So you're saying a contract lasts until the end of the Club World Cup?
No. They've taken the one that is now going into the new season, which means the Club World Cup is part of the new one that they've just taken.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. I understand.
So end of June, the contract was ending. So they've taken an option, which means we are now going into 2025-2026 season.
Okay.
With Sundowns.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jazz. How do you honor the contract, Jazz? There's black and white, there's T's and C's, right? Everybody signs there. So how... I'm taking many players. I'm thinking of lots of players here where you see a particular player sidelined. You're seeing someone not getting the game time. You're seeing, is the club going to offload this one? So obviously the contract is there to protect the player as well as the club. Yeah. What happens when neither one of these seem to be honoring what the T's and C's are? You're late to training. Any of those, like if a dispute arises, where do we go?
So, obviously, I've been fortunate or lucky, if I may, that in my 20 odd years of managing players, I've never been in the dispute resolution chamber.
Wow.
With the PSL or with SAFA or with FIFA or any of that, and I'm grateful because it starts with the player and the manager in the room before you sign the contract. Remember, Romy, that when you sign a contract, that is the moment when the excitement, happens. The player just wants to sign on the dotted line. They want to read the part where it says salary is 300,000, sign-on fees $1 million. That's what they're interested in. I stop it from there. I say, whoa, this one isn't easy to read. Let's read this other part, which is the club manual, and that talks about all those things. And this is the stuff that they still read for them anyway when you sign. They say, read this book. This booklet, it's about the disciplinary, it's about and all those things. But I think the clubs have been very lenient in not enforcing those kind of things, because it's almost like it's allowed that when the player wants to leave, maybe one club is whispering stuff in his ear, the player just decided not to go to training because somebody else is starting to say, no, don't go. They will fire you and then you can then join us. Or they will fine you and then eventually just tell them you want to leave. Which is the practice that I've seen in South Africa happening in so many players, other players, agents. But like I said, I've never had a player who at some point decided, I'm not going to train. I can give one example. When Teko Modise had a most tough time at Pirates, he slogged it. He went to training. He dragged himself to training.
You got to show up.
Yeah, he kicking and screaming because I said to him, my friend, you've got a contract. And you've got an employment contract with the club. Yeah. And part of what you are risking is the club can actually ban you. You may not play football at all because FIFA does support that statutes that you want to play. If the club sanctions you not to play, you won't play. You can literally end your career by yourself by choosing not to go to work. It's going to work. You have to go to work. Regardless of how you feel, you have to go to work.
Correct.
I love that.
Correct. Yeah. Jazz, we're going to leave it there. We are going to have part 2 of this and hopefully part 3 when you come into studio. Please don't let me harass you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. Much appreciated.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. Thanks, Jazz. That's Jazzman there chatting to us. But I like what he says. He's over 20 years and his players are disciplined, man. They really are. Like he mentioned, Teko Modise, there's a Happy Jele that has come through here as well.
But then there's, on the other one, there's Emil Baron, who basically had to have his Norwegian club raise money for him. There's Benedict Velakazi. There's
I think the Norwegian club raised money for him to buy a house.
Yeah.
I think also that he had a dispute which went through to the South African Football Players Union, which then had to go to a DC. However, he filed that complaint too late for it actually to be heard and seen. Man. So when I also went down that rabbit hole, that is what I realized. And obviously there was drug abuse involved, etc. actually, that's a story in itself.
Well, there's Dina and Glover. I think this is Dina and Glover told City Press a while back, said, what makes a lot of footballers go broke after retirement is that they keep living the same lives they lived when they're getting a regular salary. And, you know, it
You
takes
gotta
maturity.
scale down. You gotta scale down.
Sell the BMW.
Scale down. One girlfriend. No, I'm teasing.
2 wives.
Yeah. A girlfriend and a wife. We're talking nonsense.
Rather
Till
just have a wank.
tomorrow.
Just have a wank. I mean.
No, stop it. Until tomorrow, Terrio.
Not the sports news on omniaudio.africa. Africa with Romy Titus and Kevin McCallum.